My mother called, and I answered the phone. She said, there's been this horrific terror attack in Jerusalem, and it was on a bus, and I've been calling your father for 10 minutes, and he's not answering, and I know he was in the area. My father, Richard Lakin, was a kind, gentle man. He was a person who dedicated his life to education, to educating children, to teaching them to love and to respect. He had been on a bus 78 in Jerusalem, and two men had boarded the bus, two terrorists, and at a certain point, one of them stood up with a gun and started shooting people, and the other one stood up with a knife and started stabbing people. And he was shot in the head, along with two other men. And after he fell to the ground, they started stabbing him. He was stabbed everywhere. It was horrific, in the head, in the face, in the chest. The knife actually broke while it was inside of him. The damage was just beyond repair. And eventually his body couldn't hold out after 2 weeks, and he died in front of us. Horrific as it is, one of the terrorists who was shot by the police while in the act of stabbing my father was brought into the intensive care unconscious with my father, and he was treated 3 beds away from him by the same medical teams, and he survived. I actually watched him regain consciousness, and he opened his eyes. I had a very brief moment of anger for 2 or 3 minutes. All of the rest of the time, I was overcome with the feeling that you have to make something positive out of this. This is what this is what he lived for. This is how he behaved naturally. This is how he educated me and my family, and my mother educated us. The Palestinian Boy Scouts, or the Palestinian Scouts Association, recently renamed their Scout Leadership Program after Ba-Alian, the terrorist who shot my father on the bus, because they, as they stated and they put on their webpage of the Palestinian Scouts Association, that this is the kind of leader we want you to become, and you should be a martyr like Ba-Alian. I think if my father would have seen all of this, this is what it would have focused on, is how children are being educated. They need to be educated to love and not to hate. When you look at it, there's nothing to be gained from hating. People who hate, it just creates anger within, and it just eats them from within. And people who love feel good themselves. What seems to me the right thing to do, also in his memory, but also just because that's how he educated me, is to bring people's attention to this. Because if people aren't educating towards love on their own, then they need help from the outside to get there. My name is Micah Avni. I'm an Israeli, and I choose love.